say, well, I want to go to America, even though I have this visa to Israel. The American consulate gave me permission to enter the United States. In fact, at the moment I was doing it, I was a person without any documents.
Really?
The American consulate in Vienna and Rome helped me to enter the United States as a legal immigrant. But prior to my applying for the American consulate, I was basically totally illegal, without any documents. Soviet Union stripped me of any documents. So, yes, I came here as a legal resident, but I still have a feelings for those who would leave their country to come to America and live the life that they're really thinking as of dream, and the education is definitely part of it. So if they want to go and educate themselves, I'd like to help. And on the top of it, I like to say that, I don't know if you watched the movie 42?
I don't know. Once
Oh,
upon a time.
that's the
Jackie
Jackie
Robinson.
Robinson movie. It's,
All right, good. Yeah, well, I know about
Because
it. Yeah,
Jackie Robinson had the number 42 on his uniform.
yeah, that's it.
I don't think it's really about an African American man entering the field. I think it's about leveling the field for everybody and making a baseball as a game, a better game,
Okay.
because of the new players.
Right.
And there is a parallel to it, and what's happening here with immigration process, I believe.
All right, good. Good
Uh,
answer.
I wanted to ask you about the committees. I mean, have you changed? Has any of your committees changed under Carl
No,
Heastie's?
I'm not same committee
Because
as
you're on
Ian.
aging and cities, election law, government employees, housing, social services. You're on the subcommittee on Mitchell Lama, which is a housing program. The subcommittee on outreach and oversight of senior citizen programs. So, and that fits in because you have a lot of seniors in your
Absolutely.
district.
It's
So-
all those committees are so relevant to my district.
Right.
I wouldn't want to change it.
Well, I don't know how election law is relevant, specific to your.
Well, election laws, I have
It's
to tell
to
you that
everyone's.
for years I've been fighting the Board of Elections for the ability of Board of Elections to translate all the documents in Russian. I'm still fighting,
Oh,
even
they
though
don't do
there
that?
is a law,
Yeah.
but Board of Elections still would not be the law.
Really? They don't?
Yeah.
I thought they had like
I don't
40
know.
languaguages that they.
Some people are saying
translate.
these days maybe they're doing it because it's a language which Putin's speaking with. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So that's.
So
something.
election law still is relative to everything that I'm doing, especially to the first, so to speak, years of my career.
Yeah.
It was a year when I've been trying to energize the Russian Jewish community and bring people to the voting booth and make them equal members of the society who would be able to
You
vote.
think they're reluctant because they never knew how to vote in Russia? It's like so new to them.
Yes, well, in Russia, in fact, many of them, especially seniors, they've been voting in Russia because in Russia, it was a mandate. You had to go and vote. In fact, you had
There's
to go
only
and
one
vote.
candidate on
One
the-
candidate for one candidate. Yeah, it's a nonsense. It's a nonsense, but we all knew it's a nonsense that we have to obey. So, but no, they've been voting. But again, voting there and voting here are two different things. You have to educate yourself about different candidates. You have to know what you're doing in a booth. And at the beginning, it was very important to have it in Russian. Now it's, well,
More
I
younger
hope Board of
people.
Elections wouldn't watch this program. Maybe it's not as important as it was 10 years ago.
Because more and more younger people know the English.
Yes, yeah, and even the older people, they already know how to use the electronic machine. So it's, well, the law is the law, Board of Elections, let's do it, but it's a bit less relevant.
Well, I'll talk to Todd Valentine.
Yes,
And I know him. I wanted to ask you, there was something that the speaker put out, a news release about growing anti-Semitism in Argentina. So since we're talking about the world stage in different countries, I was just wondering, he wants to have a probe. He wants, called for an investigation into this. I mean, why does the state assembly, get involved with anti-Semitism in Argentina?
Well, again, I think that we have many people in the assembly who would be tracing their roots, except maybe myself, who would experience it himself. But you have many people in the assembly who would trace their roots back to Eastern Europe and the pogroms, anti-Semitism.
Right.
They're very worried now with what's happening in Europe, and now it's happening in Argentina too. So I believe it's very relevant to what we're doing in the assembly. And
We don't have Argentinians in this, too many Argentinians in the state.
Ask Nili Rosic. She will tell you.
Who will?
Nili.
Nili, yes. She's one of the people who was
Her
listed.
parents were born in Argentina.
Oh, that's why.
I don't
She's
know
listed.
if that's the reason, but
Oh, okay, because I just know of her as being born in Israel, in Jerusalem.
it's New York State. We're
But I
related
didn't know
to
that-
any part of the world, Mark.
Yes, but I didn't know that her parents were from Argentina.
For example, tomorrow I'm having a big delegation coming from Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan?
Yeah. Yes.
Why are they coming here? So why,
To see
again?
him.
Well,
He
good people.
draws them like a magnet all around the
No,
world.
I mean, what's the
Well,
real reason?
in fact, today in Washington and Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania State Assembly, I think,
Right.
is approving some resolution today. Well, what I'm trying to give people a chance to get more attention, especially when you have a country which is our friend in fighting terrorism. They providing us with the airports and even put some boots on the ground in Afghanistan. I don't know how many, 10, 20 people, but it's been done by Azerbaijan. So friends are coming, let's give them some attention, let's give them some respect. I think it's a good thing, especially in today's world where people are experiencing so many different negative things. Azerbaijan, by the way, Azerbaijan has an impeccable relationship with Israel.
Really?
Well, I'm glad you told me so that when I go to the capital and I see these Azerbaijanis, I won't think we're being invaded by Russia.
Right.
So, yeah, but it seems like, we have a Turkish Cultural Day, we have a Canadian Day, we have a Italian American, Irish American days, and now we're going to have an Azerbaijan Day.
With the help of Turkish Cultural Center, because
Really?
Turkey and
Is that-
Azerbaijan, they speak the same language.
Did they spur this on? Did they
Yeah.
help? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I know.
absolutely.
Usul,
And-
is that his name? Usul? The head of...
Vesel,
Vesel,
and
yeah.
Suleiman and a couple
Right.
other people.
Okay.
Suleiman is a great example of a Muslim who's helping
Right.
a Jewish rabbi
Right.
to save some cemeteries in Turkey. I don't know if you
Oh,
know
no,
about
I
it.
didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
heartwarming.
time to bring
Yeah.
good people
Right.
together.
No,
you
that's
know?
very good. So I'll talk to you later about it. Tell me what's going on with the aging committee that, you might want people to know. I mean, because all these committees, I mean, you are on so many committees. There are people like Dov Heiken who aren't on any committees, and you just go from one to the other, but they don't meet every week, these committees.
Well,
They,
now you have a budget discussion,
Right.
so people are busy with that.
No,
mostly.
but I'm just saying in general. I mean, when there's a bill that has to come up, sometimes it's just one or two bills because they're leaving it for the.
Oh, you got to go to Peter Abadi Governmental Employees Committee, for example.
Yeah.
We're going to have 50 bills tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Or Aging Committee. In fact, Steven Simrovitz is now chair of the committee. Sometimes we have a good number of bills.
Of which committee?
Aging?
Aging.
You were talking about aging.
Yeah, he's
He's
your
a chair
neighbor.
now. Yeah.
He's your neighbor, legislative
And a
district.
friend.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a friend, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
so what are we seeing in the aging committee that?
Well, it's a lot of bills supporting, excuse me, supporting senior citizens one way or another.
Of course.
There are, for example,
Yeah.
bills that would provide them with some tax credits if if they're volunteering in non-for-profits. It usually pass the assembly, wouldn't pass the Senate.
One
But-
House bills, yeah.
One House bills, but it's a good bills. You know, it's giving
So
people.
what are you sponsoring? What are you pushing in the legislature this year?
Well, I have. You see, in my case, it's interesting because some people would have a perception that I'm representing Russian Jewish community. Well,
Yes,
I am,
fair-
but
it's fair perception, yeah.
but I have I have only 15% Russian Americans in my district.
Right,
I have
but it's a fair
30%
perception.
African. It is.
Yeah.
It's a fair perception. But what I'm trying to say, for example, I'm supporting a bill for the military spouses, and that bill would allow them to, in case of military family moving to a new place of residency, that would allow them to get an unemployment benefits, even though they have to voluntarily leave their work in case of a relocation. Why I'm doing it? Because I have Fort Hamilton in my district. The only military installation in New York City happened to be in a former Soviet
Yes,
Soviet-born, I should say.
but it's a,
Assemblyman. So
and
it's
it's what, in the northern part of your district or the western part of your district?
it's by the Verrazano Bridge.
Yeah,
It's,
I know. I
western
personally
part-
know where Fort Hamilton
western
is, but
part
I
of the
just-
district.
yeah.
It just and it's an honor for me. You know, I'm very proud of sponsoring bills like this one
Okay.
that's helping military personnel.
When do you think you'll be chairing a committee? Because you're one of the younger members.
How many
in-
years have you been in there? Well, how
9
many
years.
Oh, that's,
I'm almost there.
that's,
Well, another year, 9 years, so when you're there 10 years, you're part of the pilots club,
Most likely.
you know?
Yeah,
so
most likely it's a time to get a committee. So
Okay, so-
we're getting there.
So if you
We're
had a
getting there.
chance to chair a committee and your druther, you had your druthers besides Ways and Means and Education, which are, and
Well,
health,
there are
and-
committees
would
which you
you-
will have to wait 20
Yeah,
years for.
well, that's, like I said, health and education and Ways and Means,
And housing,
Yeah.
most likely.
so,
Something that's happening in the cities would be an interesting thing to do. Also, governmental employees,
yes,
I love Peter Abadi. I'm going to give him 220.
okay.
But this is something that if Peter would become president of the United States,
Yeah. You'd like his committee, yeah.
well, probably, yes. I know very well people in those unions, fire department, and ambulances, and police departments. I'm very close with them. In fact, one of my bills is the capital punishment for the cop killers.
think it'll
It's a
get
hard.
passed?
It's a long shot. It's a long shot, but I'm proud that I'm the main sponsor of this bill. It has to be there. Even though it's a long shot, I believe that our police officers, they just deserve it. They deserve it. They putting their life online for us every day, and especially now when we have a situation where they're not totally appreciated by the society and by some of my colleagues. I'm very proud of this bill.
No, it sounds like a good bill. I mean, I'm not a fan of the death penalty, but certainly if it's going to be for
Neither am I.
for anyone, it would be
Neither
the
am I.
cop killer.
I'm not supporting death penalty in
Right.
general, but in a situation which we were eyewitnessing, well, on the TV, right?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, tragically, couple times, it's a very clear situation where a person just, I wouldn't even call him human being, just approach police officers and kill them.
right. Well, that's like what happened in the police car with
Yes,
Lou and I forgot the two
Yes,
cops' names,
yeah.
but
I believe that a person like this
should have
deserves to
done-
be punished
Let
to the
me ask-
capital punishment.
Since we're talking sort of foreign countries, and there's an issue in New York City about circumcisions and the mitzvah b'peh, where you actually have
Draw
draw
with your
blood
mouth.
and oral suction. And What do you think of that? And is there a compromise? There's a compromise that the mayor came to with the religious leaders in New York City. You know, in terms of, do you know about the compromise? Or
I don't know about the compromise.
Okay,
Tell me
it's
about
that
the
if
It's
you-
more of a
compromise.
city than
Well-
the state, really.
right, but that's why I'm saying he's from Brooklyn, and they do this in his
No, I know,
district,
but-
so that's why.
Didn't come up to the state law, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
All right.
but
No, not
you know, I just thought maybe you might know. You know, when the compromise is that it would be sort of self-policing. So if there is if the baby has
Herpes.
comes in, if it has an illness, herpes or something, you know, from this procedure, then they get a DNA test. Then the Moyle gets a DNA test, and if it matches with the baby, then the Moyle is prohibited from ever doing this type of procedure again. So, you know, it's a matter of,
Sounds right.
you know, that's
Sounds
then-
like a common sense.
and that's what they're doing in Rockland County. So,
Well, they're doing that in New York City now.
now New York
Now
City,
they just
right?
signed it.
That sounds like a common sense.
Okay.
You know, it just,
Because there are some people who are just totally against the mitzvah pay, and they don't want to have, you know,
how
they
can
don't.
they?
Huh?
How can they be against it?
Well, they're not against the bris. They're just against that
But
procedure.
but the procedure, it's. I would rather say that it's a religious procedure. So we have a separation of state and religion.
Yeah, but it's the health of the baby also, which brings it back to a governmental.
So there is a compromise,
Yeah.
and I like compromises. I think that compromises very often representing common sense.
Okay. What do you see as some of the big issues coming up for in this legislative session? What do you see as rising to the top? You know, you've been to conference enough now. This session where you know they're talking
As
about.
always, it's education and all the education questions and testing and all this stuff like that, and of course the gap for the charters. It's again, it's all the new ethics reforms and public financing.
Any environmental issues that are hot?
Well, I think we're kind of over fracking for now.
We're over it, right? Because the governor has the ban on it.
Other than that, nothing that would
Okay.
come to my mind right away.
You know, it's kind of a slow session.
Well,
It seems like a sleepy session.
let's see what's going to happen.
Aside from the brouhaha, the leadership, it seems like a slow
Well, the
session.
budget's always a big issue,
Don't-
isn't it?
Yeah, but it
It's
seems
always,
like it's sleep. I mean, 95% of the budget that the governor proposes, the legislature disposes on. They basically tinker around the edges with the last, 2-3% of the budget. You know,
Margaret, but those 2-3%, I mean, you have to fight for it, and it's and it takes time and efforts to fight for those 2-3%, and sometimes those 2-3%, especially for the education, are just extremely important.
well, when you talk about the ethics reforms, do you think the governor should be included and the executive branch be included with the same time that the same way the legislature is?
Of course,
Well, the
yes.
governor said that he shouldn't be
it
because
just again, it's a common sense.
because the legislature's part-time, the governor's not a part-time job, and the part-time issue is what leads to the impropriety.
But what's the difference? People, when they have a full-time job, they're making mistakes, serious mistakes. When they have a part-time job, they can make a mistake. I like to, if there is a disclosure, full disclosure, and I'm totally for it, I like to see it on in both parts of the government.
Okay. All right.
Very good. Listen, as we're out of time, thank you for coming back.
Thank
and again, Malta, for a new
Thank you, Rabbi.
session. And continue your good work that you're doing with good health.
Yes,
Thank you
much
very much.
success.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
Alec.
you.